Okay, well then, Dallas, if you are ready, I will pass it off to you.
All right, give me one sec. I'm just trying to organize something real quick. There we go. There. Let's talk about the fact that resumes, they are, or it is a very personal document. And that while we're going to share best practices for success, some of you may hear different opinions from others. And it's up to you pretty much to determine what works best. There's a, I'm not gonna say, there's a little quote that goes along with it that speaks about resumes. I'm not gonna say what the real quote is, but not resumes, about opinions. That's what it is, about opinions. But resumes are very much so like opinions because everybody has one, right? It's just geared toward industries. It's geared towards the individual. They come in different styles. They come in different shapes. They come in different sizes. They're just different, plain and simple, right? That's what I could really say. Be sure to follow the instructions and read them through thoroughly. Let's see here. We're going to send resume, cover letters, application materials as a PDF document. We can use examples from success coaches or career advisors. Applicants, be sure to block out, we're going to block out some names there. So I think we have a sample we're starting off with. Is that what we're doing here? Does somebody have that for me? Nope, that's not what I have here. But we can, yeah, I think this is Morgan's part. So what I have here is, I think Tabitha put in a link that might lead to hers. Do we have that?
I have the link. You want me to drop it in the chat for you?
Yes, please, if we could take a look at that.
You got it.
All right, guys, everybody go ahead and check out that link that Morgan just dropped for us, please. I'm gonna go ahead and open mine up too. I don't know about you guys, but it's getting there on my end. We're almost there. Oh, all right. All right. So how I would like to do this, because you guys are said to be the pros. Oh, and look at it. It's right there on the screen for me also. You guys are said to be the pros. I'd like some of you guys to talk to me about this. Okay. Since you all have a resume already, what are some things that you deem familiar? What do you see on Tabitha's resume here that you might have on yours?
Education and work experience.
Right, right. Why are those important?
Well, people that employ you want to know your work experience to like see if you can do the tasks you're assigned, and education also gives you an idea of that.
Yep. So we're checking out experiences on two different ends there, right? We're checking out a professional experience and an education just to see what prior knowledge that we have. So when it comes to ours, once are we either Morgan or Jordan, are we actually taking a look at any today? Meaning outside of Tabitha's?
We will do an activity at the end with the previous resume and kind of go through some editing, what we would edit about that resume. So technically one.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to, kind of know so I can steer myself because these don't line up for me right now. And so I'm gonna just make something out of nothing. How about that? So when it comes to our resumes, we use them in different ways, right? Some of you all might use them via email. Some of you might upload it directly to like an online portal when you apply for a job. All right. That's kind of, I won't say it's most popular, but the larger companies typically have some sort of application tracking system, and they can be a bit tricky. A lot of them are pre-programmed to what that company is looking for specifically, right? A lot of them hit on keywords. So if I wanted to go into banking, I would use terms that they may use in or around the bank, for example, right? I might use words banker or like a business to business type of conversation, or maybe speaking about the different accounts, or excuse me, or things of that nature. So let me see here. Yeah, that doesn't line up either at all. So yeah, that's kind of different ways in which we use these resumes. Does anybody have any questions about their existing resume thus far before we kind of push on? Because I know Morgan will have some great points for us. And
Is it recommended to add your GPA?
recommended, no, but it gives whomever the hiring manager or who's reviewing your resume, it gives them a good idea. I would say just kind of the student you are. You know, it's not like they would shun somebody who has a 2.0 or a 2.5, but if you have a 3.9, and that's a really great achievement, right? So that's something you would want to showcase. That's something that they would want to know, because whatever the position may be, whatever the job may be, it might make them a little bit more confident in their hiring decision as they see, hey, this person's got a 3.9, a 4.0, or a 3.8, something like that, you know? So it's kind of reassurance. I see Jordan asked better for 1 page or 2. So I kind of have 2 answers for you. And when I was creating my resume, I was told 1 page. I was 18, 19, 20. I might have had one before that. I don't remember, but I do know at 18, 19, 20, I had one. I didn't have much experience, right? I was a young man, fresh out of high school, finding my way through college. And, you know, I had little side jobs, things like that, things I would dabble with. When you get to multiple pages, it's typically reserved for longer stints of experience or more technical positions, something that really cannot be summed up in 3 to 5 points, things like that. So I'd say 1 for starters. But this is also a really great segue, because I don't want to continue fumbling as we're talking about these 3 to 5 points. This gives me an opportunity to pass it, because that's exactly what we're going to go into, and I don't want to step on any toes. So Morgan, can you kind of help me out here?
Absolutely. Thanks for setting that up so well, Dallas. Really appreciate you. Phenomenal. All right, everyone. So now we're going to talk about the bullet point model and kind of walk through what that is. So when writing your resume, a big part of the success of the resume is in the way you write about and sell your accomplishments and your experiences. And that's what really makes this difference here. A well-written, impactful resume can make you stand out to resume reviewers or employers and give you a leg up compared to other job applicants. So what bullet points that highlight your achievements are a really good place to start. And so with that, now we'll start talking about some action verbs. So action verbs communicate skills that you want to highlight. So your resume's bullet points should start with strong action verbs. So action verbs like created, implemented, or facilitated are all good words that can highlight your involvement in your accomplishments. Using strong and unique action verbs show hiring managers that you've been in different roles and that you can use different skills, and overall can make your resume more impactful. So moving on to the content. So this is the work you did for an experience or job. Also would encourage you to think about the major responsibilities or tasks that you were assigned for context. And so when you're also thinking about context, you should assume that the reader, so the person reviewing your resume, is unfamiliar with the activity or the environment that you were in. So some questions to consider when you're thinking about the context are: where did you work? What did you do? And what were the major responsibilities and tasks that were assigned to you? And finally, results. So what was the impact, the task completed, or the outcome? Why is or why was your work important, right? So questions to consider or for reflection here would also be, so what is the impact of my work? In what way is this important? And what did I do to complete a certain task or to achieve an outcome? So overall, your bullet points should be impactful, clear to understand, and they should also showcase your skills. And I am going to drop a link in the chat that is also like a worksheet for you if you your specific bullet points. So I just dropped a link in the chat. If you want to click on that, it gives us thank you, Jordan. So here, right, we see these action verbs, the specifics, the results, and the context. So this is just another tool for you when you're thinking about your bullet points. It's an opportunity to help you kind of flesh those out and create those. So in your chart, reminder, before you type on this, make a copy. Please be sure to make a copy. So again, this is just another tool to help you kind of flesh out your bullet points. If you look on there, we have examples, right, of a basic bullet point, help students at the Career Center. Okay, that's great, but what was the outcome, right? Like, why did you do this? What happened? An effective bullet point is assess the needs of students in order to provide the best service possible while maintaining confidentiality. So I will give you some time before we transition into our resume tailoring activity to kind of think about how you would want to flush out your bullet points for your resume.
Okay. Excuse me. So we are going to go into a resume editing exercise now. So this is going to be a peer activity. So what is going to happen is I'm just going to randomly assign you to a breakout room, and you will have one or two other people. So there'll be 2 to 3 people in a room total in there with you. And what we're going to have you do is share your resume, one person at a time, and get feedback. So groupmate 1 would share their resume. You can either drop it in the chat, or we have screen sharing enabled. So feel free to do it that way. If you need any help getting it shared for some reason, come back into the main room and let one of us know. But we've made sure all the settings are ready for you and good to go there. But essentially, groupmate 1 will share their resume, and then the other group mates will take a few minutes to read it over. You can ask any questions, give it any feedback. You'll do this for about 5 minutes, and then you'll move on to the next person. So then groupmate number 2 will pop their resume on the screen in the chat, and everyone else will give feedback, questions, and you'll do this for each person. And then we will come back as a big group to this main room and just do a quick debrief and see how it went for everyone. So I am going to, before I split you into breakout rooms, does anyone have any questions about this? All right, looks like the last few people are finally back in, and we have everyone. So we're just going to do a quick debrief, and then I'll pass it off to Morgan. So can I just have like one or two people kind of share out how that experience was for you? Like, did you enjoy it? Did you get good feedback? Just what were your thoughts?
It was good. Uh, I I searched my resume from last SummerWorks and I found it. So that was good. And I was
Awesome.
able to share with my breakout room group.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Vincent. I'm glad you found your resume and were able to get that feedback. And then Shri, I saw your hand up. I don't know if you still want to share.
Yep, I was just gonna say that I really liked how we got to like look at each other's resumes because I feel like that kind of gave us like a chance to get feedback and kind of just like look at how other people formatted their resume. So I was able to get really valuable feedback and kind of like look at my group mates' examples and see what I can change about my own resume. So I really liked it.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. Yeah. All right. Oh, I see Gregory has his hand up if you want to go ahead and share.
Yeah, the feedback was really good. I got a lot of feedback about like I could improve my formatting, and yeah, we all got to go in our group, so it was a good uh breakout room.
Awesome. That's great to hear. I'm glad you got good feedback on your formatting and got questions answered. All
Yeah.
right. I think sharing, I see Haley, I think hand first. So I'll go to her next.
So just to confirm, would you prefer us to have one page resume, like either front and back or just the front?
So I think one page is best, and that's kind of the format we're starting with. If you don't feel like you can fit it into one page, then you can definitely do 2 pages. You just need to make sure and fill up that second page. So it's not like too empty, if that makes sense. So just like for formatting purposes, it looks good to an employer, not to have too much blank space on there, because even if you are adding more experience, just visually, it can kind of be misleading. So we recommend one full page, or if you're going to go on to the back, then make sure it's at least half or more usually.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And then is it Lakaya?
Yes. I feel like us sharing our resumes were really good. I seen like we compared and looked at each other's and like told each other if it was good or what we need to add. So I thought that was really helpful.
Awesome. So glad to hear that. Thank you for those of you who shared. Does anyone else have anything that they want to add about the experience? Any questions that might have been helpful to you? Or any suggestions that you thought were super helpful that you want to share with the group? Okay, that's totally okay. But I'm glad to hear that this exercise went so well. And this is just kind of a general reminder that even if we don't have like structured time like this, that you can definitely always reach out to like friends, classmates, peers, and ask for feedback or do things like this. And it can just be really helpful to get a second set of eyes and opinion, even for just catching little like grammar formatting things that you might not have noticed the first time. So definitely helpful. But I am going to go ahead and pass it off to Morgan now to talk a little bit about resume tailoring and take us into our next activity.
Phenomenal. Thanks, Jordan. So what we're going to do is we're really going to talk about tailoring a resume. But before I get started and I start talking to you, I really want feedback and just engagement throughout this. And you guys are such a phenomenal group, so I know I'll get that. So before we get started, have any of you ever tailored or edited your resume? I have. Great, Nadia. Yes, perfect. After I was told I had to. Okay, phenomenal. So maybe what were some of the reasons that you tailored your resume? Was it for another job? Was it for maybe a club or an organization? So what did some of that tailoring, what were you working towards? What was that reason? And feel free to come off mute as well, or just keep dropping it in the chat, whatever you are most comfortable with. An internship. More.
For me, it was for a job.
Mhm.
I had some previous job experience in like working in kitchens and with like janitor stuff. And so there was a position that was relevant to both of those. So I just like kind of beefed up that and emphasized that stuff.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much, Gregory. And that really leads us into really what we're going to talk about first. And also thank you to everyone who dropped answers in the chat. All of those are incredible. So again, appreciate your engagement a lot. So kind of like Gregory said, right? He was talking about how he relevant experience, right? So let's talk about skills for a second. So skills. So what skills are they looking for? And they being the employers. So by tailoring your resume to fit a specific job, you can highlight your skills that are most relevant to the specific position. So this can help the employer see that you have the skills that they are looking for. So some questions to think about when you're thinking about the skills that you want to highlight when you go to tailor your resume or apply for jobs are, what skills are they looking for, but what skills do I want to highlight? Another question you might think about for this summer are what skills are you looking to gain? Like I know in the internship description packet that Mel made for us, Mel did a phenomenal job of really giving us a format that would allow us to see the skills that we will gain from the different internship positions that we have to offer this summer. Okay, moving into experiences. So what experiences would benefit the organization? So you'll want to highlight your relevant experiences and accomplishments that demonstrate your qualifications and skills for the job. It's important to emphasize how your previous experience aligns with the requirements for the job that you're applying for. So what experiences do you have that would benefit the organization? And what experiences do you really want to highlight when you're applying for the job that you're going to apply for? This can also be classwork, volunteer experiences, exceptional organizations, clubs. And so for the third, we have the fit. So how do you fit into their mission? So this is where some research might come into play. Research the mission statement and the values. So what are the key values that they value and what are the objectives? So by tailoring your resume while keeping the company or the organization's mission in mind, you'll be able to demonstrate that you have researched the organization and that you show a genuine interest in working with them. This can also help you stand out from other applicants that are also applying for this position. And so for the fourth, we have put it together. So how do you solve their problem? And so for this one, this is where you're really going to want to bring it all together and put a nice bow on top of it. How will your skills and experiences match and shine through with and in this position? And what are the common keywords so that the employer can see that you have the skills and experience that they're looking for, right? And finally, how will you tailor or customize your resume to fit this specific job position? And so with all of these things, this can help you really solve the employer's problem by demonstrating how you can meet their specific needs and also contribute to the success of the organization or the company. So with that being said, since some of you have edited your resumes or tailored them before, how about we talk about that for a second? So why might you want to spend the effort or take the effort to highlight the different skills that you possess when applying for jobs? So why is it important to really highlight your skills and experiences? Feel free to come off mute or drop it in the chat.
I think it's important to highlight your skills and experiences so that you can show like your worker or your employer that you have the experience for the job and that you're interested in working for them by showing that you researched and, you know, did all the things.
Absolutely, that research can really help you to stand out and give you a leg up. Thank you so much. Anyone else? So what catches their eye first? Exactly, and you really want to stand out to them for the job, right? Should we bring a different resume for each internship? That's a great question. Jordan, there's a question in the chat that I'm not sure how that's happened before, so I don't want to say the wrong thing. Should they bring a different resume for each internship?
Yeah, so for the internship interview event, you don't need to worry about bringing a different resume for each interview, because you will have hopefully at least 3 or 4, if not upwards of 5 interviews. So you can get some practice in addition to you know, interviewing for the internships you're interested in. And so because that's a lot, I think the best thing to do for the event is just to try and make sure that your resume kind of addresses the different things or like skills you want to highlight for like most or some of the most important or maybe highest like ranked internships. And then if you want to be like extra prepared, you can definitely kind of have different like points ready for different employers if that's something that you want to do, but that's not at all required. So I would say definitely just one resume is good for everything. And otherwise, outside of that, when you're applying for jobs, like just day to day, that's when you would probably, or that's when you would kind of do like the tailoring and make sure that it's more specific, just because you have the time and you won't be doing kind of the back-to-back thing that we are. So that is a great question. I see something else in the chat. Let me see really quick. Okay, perfect. Looks like that's everything. So hopefully it answered your question. Feel free to keep popping anything in the chat or raise your hand. We'll make sure to get to you.
Thanks, Jordan. All right, everyone. So I appreciate your engagement in tailoring a resume and kind of like why we might tailor a resume. You're absolutely right. And all of you are on par and spot on. So thank you for that. So the next thing we are gonna do is actually first, let's visit some strategies that we might kind of use when we decide to edit or tailor our resume. So for those of you who have edited or tailored your resume, what were some of the strategies or the approach that you took to edit that? So did you, for example, maybe you read the job description very thoroughly and carefully, and that kind of gave you the opportunity to skim and highlight the opportunities and the qualifications that they were looking for. So what were your strategies or your approaches to that, if anybody has any specific? Okay, so I will read through a couple of strategies or approaches that we could use moving forward for how we might tailor our resumes for a specific job. So the first one, we could read the job description carefully and thoroughly. This will give us the opportunity to really highlight the specific qualifications, the experience, and skills that the employer is looking for. I know Dallas touched on identifying keywords before, so we'll identify keywords that are used in the job description and incorporate them into the resume. So these keywords are also likely to be related to specific skills and experience as they relate to the job. You're going to want to focus on your bullet points. Since we already touched on our bullet points, I'll just reiterate that your bullet points should be impactful, clear to understand, and also showcase your skills. So with that being said, now we will move into our next activity. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a resume tailoring exercise where we have a resume from a previous participant, and then we're going to look at a job description, and we're going to edit that resume based on the job description and really give this some experience. So how does that sound? We have our resume and we have our job description. So I'm going to give you just a little, I also have the link to the Friends Indeed website, if that would be useful for anyone to kind of check out. So just take maybe like 2 to 3 minutes and really just skim through the job description and the resume, and then we'll get going with some edits here. I'm also going to drop this in the chat so you can have it on your screens as well, if that would be easier for you to access. Phenomenal. I see you guys popping on there. So maybe take 2 to 3 minutes and then we will get started with our first edits. I'll just give you time to skim and look over that and we will get going.
Is this actually one on the in the internship packet?
I'm sorry, what did you say, Haley?
Is this one that's in the internship packet?
It might be. I can check that for you super quick. So it does not look like it is in the internship description packet for this year. So I think we're just using it as an example. Which link would you like? Thanks, Jordan. Okay, everyone. So now that we've had some time to kind of skim through our job description and our resume, what is the first thing that we would kind of want to tailor on our resume?
Maybe include that they are vaccinated if they are.
That's a good one. Great, Haley.
I feel like the relevant coursework doesn't really fit for this job.
I would agree with you. Incredible catch.
I would say if they're doing, what is it, AP language and composition, then they probably are good at researching.
I see that language and composition, how that could fit in for research, especially the outreach ideas. What do other people think? What do we think as a group? How do we want to edit this?
I think the AP classes show that the applicant is like a good student, so I think it's fine. And the fact that they're in clubs shows like leadership skills that seem like they'd be really relevant to this.
Yep. Nice. How about the previous experience? How does it fit in with the job we're applying for now? Does it fit in? What do we think?
Yeah, I think it fits.
Okay. Others, what do we think? How about the skills? Do we have the skill set? Do we need to add any skills, take any skills out?
You could sort of adapt skills to the desired qualifications in the job description.
Okay.
So
How would you,
talk
how
about
would you
like
do
being
that?
eager to learn, or can work in, I don't know, don't just copy and paste all of them or it'll be too obvious, but
Mhm. So
maybe
if we
one.
were gonna, yeah. So which skill should we add under skills? Where we see,
Oh, I don't know. You could probably talk about researching with the AP laying, and then talk about working independently and in a group setting. In skills, you already have leadership and teamwork, so maybe we can put comfortable working in a diverse setting. Not that exactly, but maybe you could put something like that. You could do something like that in one of your previous work experiences too.
absolutely.
I think we can also make the technology part more specific, because they include maybe even social media, but also like logistics, which would maybe be like Google Sheets and logging stuff.
Oh.
So
that really pulls in on, that would be like a technical skill or a hard skill, right? So that goes back to that whole, that could be Microsoft Word applications, Google Docs applications, social media, right? So with that being said, what should we add on our skill set? Because that was a really good point. What should we add that's going to land us the job? Does anybody want to revisit that last point that they spoke on? Are there any other points to be made? Do we feel confident in our current resume as it relates to our job description? Do we think we're going to land the job if we were to submit this resume? Thoughts from a couple of people? At least 2 or 3. I can't move on until I get 2 or 3. I can get us going here. Haley, what do you think? Give it to me. Are we getting this job? Do we need to make any more edits?
I think we could, although maybe it is assumed, because what did this say? No, what am I doing? It disappeared. I was thinking, yeah, it's a fundraising event. So maybe having something to do with like interactive events. I mean, they do have like, they deal with money, like transactions and stuff, but maybe stuff that relates to fundraising.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of skills are you thinking we could apply to fundraising? Maybe like being interpersonal?
Outreaching. I
Outreach.
would say definitely outreach is a big thing. Maybe more, definitely social media. Again, the ability to make like some type of poster or something that can be shared that will like look neat and stuff and has all the information.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of what you said can also tie into our communication and writing skills that we already have listed. So, as well as our proficient use of technology. So, right on, Haley. Thank you so much. All right, can I get one more person, one more suggestion, one more edit, or do we think we're good? How about Miles? Miles, what do you think?
I think if it's about like her this like fundraising intern, probably like being like social and like having good communication and people skills would be important.
Absolutely. I fully agree. And we already have that in our communication skills, but really just driving home that ability to be interpersonal and to have that outgoing energy. I fully agree. Thanks, Miles. Appreciate you. Does anyone have any final edits to offer to the group? Okay. With that being said, I'll pass it over to Jordan to walk us through our best practices and final thoughts.
Yes, let me get the slide shared here. Let me get. Okay. Awesome. Can everyone see that? Perfect. Okay, so we're going to wrap up and then we'll leave a few minutes for questions and then we are going to go back to the main room and I'll drop the chat link there shortly. Let me make sure I'm not. Okay, perfect. So best practices and kind of final thoughts. So we touched on this earlier. I think a few people brought it up as well. But a resume is really important because it is truly your first impression with the employer. So you're filling out the application, you're sending this. So before they have the chance to look you up or have a phone call or set up a, like in person or virtual, meeting of some sort or interview. This is what they're seeing. This is what they're looking at. So you really want to think about that and make sure that you are making it count. You want to, like we said, put the thought into tailoring it, making sure that the format, the design, everything lends well to each other so you can really showcase how strong of, an applicant you are. And then secondly, resumes are personal. As we mentioned, everyone has different experiences. Everyone has, even within this program, as we're kind of walking you through it, people are at different stages. And so, that impacts what you're going to include on your resume. So it's okay to personalize this. And not only can you personalize the content, but personalize the style and make it match who you are. It's okay to show off your personality. So you can, use a little bit of color in there, have a different font, play around with different formatting styles. Obviously, you want to make sure and keep it still professional and neat and clean, but you can definitely showcase who you are and really give a sense of, what your talents and your background are. Ooh, a pink resume. I love that. Morgan says her resume is pink. That's incredible. I have a little bit of blue on mine, but it's a dark, so it's not as exciting. But you're inspiring me to change it. See, so Morgan's got pink. You can really make it fit you, and that just blends well to allowing the employer to get a sense of who you are and that impression. So, but like I said, just make sure it's readable, make sure that it's still professional and organized. Third, follow instructions. I cannot emphasize this enough. So when you're applying for something, you will see a lot of times your resume, that's almost always there, but you might also see something requiring a CV or a cover letter upload. And so it's very important to note the difference between these two. So cover letters will have some more time on, and we've talked about a little bit, but essentially when you're going through these applications, make sure you're reading and you're differentiating. Okay, they want the cover letter here, they want a resume, and don't forget to really use, again, the cover letter to tailor and show off yourself, but your resume, they might ask for a writing sample, and that's different from your CV or your resume altogether. That's something that shows off your, writing skills. And it kind of depends on the field you're interested in and the work you do, what they'll ask for. But that's why it's so important to read the instructions, because if you're submitting something and you do it incorrectly, even if you are like super duper qualified, the employer might get that impression of, you're not detail oriented, or, it can kind of leave a bad impression on you. And that's just really not a strong foot to start off on. That's not how you want to show yourself, because I know you're all wonderful and not like that at all. You're on top of everything. I have the utmost faith in that. So just make sure and really read through and also review your materials and make sure that they all align. I can say that I've fallen victim to this myself, of submitting a cover letter and having it include the wrong job title or the wrong company, because I didn't read it closely enough and make all the necessary updates. And it just felt super embarrassing. So really be sure to pay close attention. And then very last thing is submit your docs as PDFs. So this allows you to control the formatting, and this is something that's really important. So I think, we all are aware that there's different types of computers, Macs, HPs. People have different versions of software, or they might have, not the latest, updated version. And so if you are sharing a like Word doc or like a Google Doc, if they pull it up on their computer, depending on their settings and what they have available to them, it might alter the format, because that's an editable document. And so it can like unintentionally rearrange everything and ruin all the beautiful hard work that you have put into these resumes. And we do not want that, because, we see the time and effort and you want to showcase yourself. So make sure you do it for that reason. And then I also think just it's always good as well, because if you upload it as a PDF, it's also non-editable. So that makes sure that if people are sharing it or moving it around or anything, because it gets passed to a couple different people for review, that nothing gets messed up or accidentally removed either. So it really just kind of locks your document in place and makes sure that it stays in its most beautiful, perfect condition ever. And if you don't know how to export something into a PDF, contact your success coach or me or one of the career advisors, and we'll make sure and get you squared away on that. But those are kind of the like final thoughts that we have and wrap up. So before we drop the link and go back to the main session here, I just want to take a few minutes and see if anyone has any questions at all about resumes or anything we've talked about today.
If I did something, but it wasn't paid. Like I took CNA last year at high school, and I worked did part of finished the course. I had to work at a nursing home for the last, I think it was 2 weeks of the program. Could I put that on there?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great question. So you can definitely include work like that on there. Your resume does not just have to include paid work experience. It can include volunteer work, coursework, just, experiential opportunities, which is kind of a broad term for any type of work you've done that's given you experience or expertise or knowledge in that field. So taking the coursework for CNA you could include, and then you could also include the work in the nursing home as well. So if you have something like that, definitely be sure to include it because employers are definitely interested in that kind of stuff. And it's, valuable stuff that you're bringing to the table. So that's a great question.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions? Okay. Well, if nobody has any other questions, then what we're going to do is head out to the original Zoom session. So I will drop the link in the chat here, and you can head back there and we will reconvene. They might be wrapping up their workshop in there. So just be mindful of that when you join. If they are, that there might still be, some questions or people talking. But once we're all back in there and wrapped up, then we will kind of do one quick group debrief and then go into our cohorts and reflection time. So let me drop it here. And if you have any questions or anything, I'll stick around here until everyone's gone as well, and can also talk to you for a minute or two before we reconvene as a big group. And Haley, I see your question. Yes, I can definitely do that. Is it okay if I look at it and give you some feedback and send that to you tomorrow?
That's fine.
Okay, perfect. I will do that. And then if you want to schedule any follow-up or anything after that, just let me know and we can do that too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, I still have that account.
Morgan, I have a question from someone about accessing Google Classroom. Can you tell me what the process is for getting someone access? And Jordan, yes, you can switch. If you don't have any questions or anything, you can follow that Zoom link to the new room. And then Haley, I just got that link from you.
I think. Let me drop the link for the Google Classroom.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, 1 second. And then let me get the code as well.
All right. So for the individual who had a question about Google Classroom, I just sent you the link to the Google Classroom. And then I'm going to grab the code here really quick, and I'll get that dropped to you. And what you'll do is you will just click the Google link or the classroom thing, and it'll walk you through like the setup process. And the only thing that's important to know is you do need a Gmail account. So if you don't have one, you'll want to set one up, but otherwise, it should have everything. So yeah, of course. So I'll just drop that code here in the chat in just a second, and then you'll be all set.
Sorry.
No, you're so good. I don't even know where it's housed, so you're doing better than I am.
Okay, I found it, I think.
Okay.
I'm gonna drop it in. Should I just drop it to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And if that doesn't work, let me know and we will definitely find the other one, but I'm pretty sure that's it. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. So there's that for you, Destiny. And then you can either work on setting it up while you're in your like reflection time, or if you work on it like outside of this, and you have any issues, just shoot us a message and we'll make sure and get it figured out for you.
Okay, thank you. And it worked.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Then you're all set.
See you back in the main room.